All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I have two articles here. All right. One dealing with, as you can see, they're both from ZeroHedge.com. One dealing with preparation for possible blackouts this winter, and another one here, which is a more interesting one, or another interesting article. As you can see, it says, "Have they gone completely mad? They know what they are. They know that they are killing the economy, but they are doing it anyway." So now, before starting this, I want to get this quick precept in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And woe, because with that great wrath, all right, that the devil is coming with, because he knows he has but a short time, it's going to be a very, very uh destructive time. Okay. And as you can see, we're going to start off with this article. I'm going to put the links in the live chat. Salaki, I forgot to put it in the description box, but I will drop it here. Um, all right, and pretty much every day that goes by, there's more and more. Like, it's, if you pay attention to the weekly headlines that come out on these various news article sites, you'll see that each week it's progressively worse. The news you're hearing is progressively worse. Even if it's reporting on the same thing, it's reporting on the same thing, but on a more intense scale. It may last week you may have heard about food inflation. Well, this week you may still hear about food inflation, but food inflation this week might be up 5%, from last week. This is just an example. Okay. So things are getting very bad very quickly. And some people, all right, are starting to realize that, and others are still in a sleep mindset. Normalcy bias. Okay. So it says here, London banks prepare for possible blackouts. And I did a video a while back on how where was this place? Where was this place? Where was this place? Was it man, I forgot the name of the place, but it was a European country. And they were also preparing for a possible, I think it was Berlin or so. They were preparing for a possible like complete great collapse. Now, as you'll find out in this article that we're reading, pretty much they narrowly escaped having, you know, severe or major or blackouts this summer. And with the wintertime coming, everybody has fingers pointing to a dark winter. So it says here, banking and financial firms in London are closely studying and updating contingency oh, right. And I think in Berlin it was the police force that was preparing uh for a blackout, and how that would lead to looting and rioting and insane civil unrest. All right, so it says here, banking and financial firms in London are closely studying and updating contingency electricity supply plans to protect themselves and their customers in case of power outages, or in case power outages hit the UK this winter. Now it says here, some banks are discussing the idea of encouraging the work from home policies from previous Crown Vic lock lock these or using offsite locations. Representatives of the trade association UK Finance coordinating the talks told Bloomberg. So they're already preparing because they know now, once again, they may come and tell you, oh no, this isn't actually something that's gonna happen. Well, why prepare for that then? Right? If it's not in your list or your book of possibilities, why prepare for it? When they tell you that there's a chance that it might rain today, what do? You take an umbrella, right? Oh, 62% chance or this percent chance. Now, they might not tell you it's 100% certain that it's going to rain today, but you still take an umbrella. And the second somebody sees you with an umbrella, what's the first question oh, it's going to rain today? Damn, I didn't know it was going to rain today. I didn't bring an umbrella, right? So you wouldn't take an umbrella if you didn't, if there wasn't a chance of this thing happening. So even though they come, oh, it's not a high, we don't foresee this actually happen. So why are you preparing? You weren't preparing to do this 5 years ago. You weren't making the same kind of preparations 10 years ago. So what changed? If you didn't foresee it happening 10 years ago, and you didn't foresee it happening 5 years ago, and you don't foresee it happening like that this year or the next year, why not keep the same energy you had 5 to 10 years ago? Clearly, there's something going on. And that's the thing, because the majority of the population have been dumbed down to the point that they don't question these things. So they may see the preparation, right? But they may just say, oh, well, if they tell us that we don't have to worry, then we're not going to worry. But then you have the few that have the spirit of the eyes to see and discern and to think, for themselves, and they're able to see and say, yo, hold on a second, this something is not adding up. All right, and we're asking all these different questions, and that's the problem. That's why all of a sudden we're hate and extreme and all this, that, and the third. Because soon they're gonna come out and tell you, look, well, we just like they did. I always forget this place, whether it was Australia or Italy or New Zealand. Not Italy, sorry, Australia, New Zealand. Um, and basically they came out and said, listen, we are your truth. If you don't hear it from us, it ain't true. Well, we determine what the truth is. So that's what they're gonna come out and do. And if you go against that, then you are just a hateful, wild, extreme, dangerous individual that does not need to be allowed to influence or pollute the rest of the population with your very bad conspiracy theorists or conspiracy theories. It says the UK and the rest of Europe are preparing for potential blackouts this winter. How far away is winter? Apparently, fall just started, but winter's right there. Especially if the weather is colder than usual and gas and power shortages strain the grids. Governments in Europe are asking people to conserve energy to avoid rolling outages. And that's also a strategic thing because they know people are not actually going to do that. In the city of London, banks are paying closer attention to plans for backup power supplies or power supply in case of blackouts. There is no sense. Now, listen to this. There is no sense of panic. Just everyone is making sure that their ducks are in row. Andrew Rogan, director of operational resilience at UK Finance, told Bloomberg in an interview. Who do you expect to actually believe that? There's no sense of panic. You damn right there's a sense of panic. The fact that you're coming out to try and clarify that there's no sense of panic is a sense of panic because your job is, well, we gotta, if we panic, we gotta make sure that the rest don't, or else we're gonna have a panic session on our hands. We're not idiots, all right? It says this summer, London narrowly avoided a blackout in the eastern part of the city at the end of July. While London and much of the UK were reeling from the hottest day on record in Britain, higher power demand and a bottleneck on the grid left parts of East London close to blackout. Now, here's the difference between summer energy usage and winter energy usage and why people are so concerned about winter. In the summertime, okay, you may turn on the AC, but you don't have to turn on the AC. You can go outside. It may be super hot, so you may go to the pool. You may go to the beach. You may go to a water park. You may go to some, people travel, people move around, so they're not constantly trapped at home in the summer. And when they're not constantly trapped at home in the summer, yes, when they are home, they turn on the air condition, but um, they're not gonna always be home. A lot of people went out. The difference is in the wintertime, you can't just, oh, well, it's cold in here. Let me go outside and warm up. It's not how it works. Number two, in the wintertime, people tend to stay home. Wintertime, people spend less time outside. They spend more time inside of buildings, whether it's from house to work, house to mall, house to friend's house, house to whatever. That's what they're doing. So if they're not home, they're in another building. And if they're in another building in the wintertime, the heater is more than likely going to be on. They're more than likely going to spend, not more than likely, they're going to spend more time on electronics, on the TV being on, and their computers and their laptops and their refrigerator, all of these things, because they're home more. So the power demand in wintertime is definitely more straining. That's why they're constantly warning about this. Okay. In the wintertime, the sun goes down quicker. It's cold. So it goes on to say, where we at? The UK, however, managed to avoid a blackout in London by buying more electricity from Belgium at a mind blowing price of $11,812, which is the equivalent per megawatt hour, which was more than 5,000% higher than the typical price. They had to pay more than 5,000% higher in order to avoid a blackout in the summer. And since the summer up until now, up until the winter, things are going to get and are getting much worse. Do you think they'll be able to do the same thing then? Outside the UK, banks across Europe are bracing for energy rations and possible power outages this winter by getting backup generators ready so that they won't leave transactions or they won't leave bank transactions and ATMs in the dark if the energy crisis worsens. Sources familiar with the plans or with plans told Reuters earlier this month. As governments in Europe appeal for voluntary gas and electricity conservation and even consider rationing, banks are also bracing for a difficult winter. The banking system is too important for Europe and its economy to be left affected by power outages. So imagine if that happened. Wouldn't end too well for this place, huh? Moving on, the next article. All right, this is also from Zero Hedge. Let me also put this in the description box. Or sorry, the live chat. All right, now this is pretty much what we've been saying, okay? Because we know we're looking literally at what their actions are, what they're doing, and this is a perfect picture here. The domino, right? The domino effect, I should say. And this is what they've done. Because let's think about the domino effect, right? We always talk about the domino effect. We talk about when you push the first domino, it hits the next, and it keeps going, right? But you know that a part of the domino effect is setting up the dominoes, right? You need to set up the dominoes, and you need to set it up with just the right space in between each domino, okay? Just the right, just everything, so that when you tip the first one and it falls back, and then when you tip it, you got to tip it just right. So it falls back, and then boom, boom, and then you have the effect. So in essence, what do you think these people were doing? They were setting up the economy in a domino effect like way, and now through the various excuses, one of them being they pretty much set up inflation, and then now they're going to cause a recession and extremely high unemployment in order to fix this inflation or tip off this domino effect. All right. Because at the end, the last pieces of the dominoes are going to be the issuance or the full implementation of the NWO. Okay, so one hits another, hits another, hits another. You're gonna have chaos, 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 depression, recession, all of that stuff, and then you're gonna hit the switching to the digital, the CBDCs, on a mass level, even here in the US. And then the domino is gonna, because one thing leads to another, right? So that's the domino effect. This domino, which is inflation or whatever it is, leads to interest rates being hiked, leads to a recession, leads to the Fed having to, I don't know, figure something out, leads to chaos breaking forth, leads to martial law being declared because of the chaos, leads to them issuing a new digital dollar because the economy has crashed, you know, leads to this, leads to that, leads to this, leads to that, leads to this, da, 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 da. And next thing you know, they got C hips inside of people. All right. Next thing you know, and then eventually things get rebuilt, under new standards. They draft in new digital constitutions, all of these things just from the first domino being hit. So when we talk about the future, we can see the pieces, the domino pieces in the back that are about to get hit. People only look at the front. Well, but this is inflation. How the hell is inflation going to lead to C hip inside of you or whatever the case is? Because it's not going to be from first domino to last. The first domino doesn't actually hit the last domino, but it sets off. That's why it's called a domino effect. But anyway, it says here, have they gone completely mad? They know that they are killing the economy, but they are doing it anyway. I wonder why. Maybe because they actually intend to do it that way. So it says they know exactly what they're doing. The experts that run the Federal Reserve know that if they dramatically hike interest rates, it will cause countless American workers to lose their jobs, and it will absolutely crush the housing market because you will own nothing and you will be happy. You will eat the bugs. But yeah, pretty much, man, that's what they're trying to do. And in that case, that would be ideal to introduce the UBI. Okay. It says and even though those two things are already starting to happen, they just announced another massive rate hike. If there was a school for central bankers, one of the very first things that they would teach you is you is that you should never ever raise rates as an economy is plunging into a recession. It's like man, what's a good example I can okay. It's like all right. It's almost like somebody or somebody on a bike, right? On a cycle, descending downhill on a slope, and it's so dangerous. They're moving, very very slow. All right, hitting the brakes as best as possible, and you go and you not only cut their brakes while they're already going downhill, but you give them a nice push. Okay, that's pretty much what happens when you decide to raise rates as an economy is plunging into a recession. You're gonna push that, man. So it says every because as the bike is going down, yeah, the goal is to get down, but in a way where you don't get hurt. So there's a reason why the bike is moving slow and every 2 seconds pressing the brakes so you can still get down safely. And you come out of nowhere, full speed, cut the brakes and push that bike with momentum. What do you think is gonna happen? It's gonna crash, right? It says every Fed official knows what has happened in the past when rates have been hiked at the beginning of an economic slowdown, but they are doing it anyway. To call this economic malpractice would be a major understatement, and the American people should be deeply alarmed about what they are doing to us. After everything that has already happened, it is hard to believe that Fed officials will continue to be so reckless. On Wednesday, it was announced that rates would be raised by another 75 basis points. So they're just going. They don't. It doesn't sound like they have a cap or a ceiling as to when they plan to stop. Their ceiling or their cap is, oh, when inflation comes back down to 2%. I wouldn't put it past them to have calculated already because they do have those supercomputers to have calculated already to know, okay, how bad do we have to let inflation get so that in our attempts to lower inflation through hike rates, through increasing or hiking interest rates, we could achieve our goals. Say you wanna cause such a slowdown that it's not even an economic slowdown anymore, it's just an economic crash. And so that way you can reset it with new standards and policies and all of these things. Well, if one way to do that or help that is through crushing demand by raising interest rates to a unreasonable level, then you're going to need a very good reason to justify why you're raising interest rates so high so frequently. So if you say, oh well, I mean, if we allow inflation to get very bad, we propose a solution as hiking interest rates. Well, depending on how high we let it go and how low we want it to come down, we can possibly, have enough space to keep hiking and hiking and hiking and hiking till, I mean, they can just keep telling you that, right? Oh well, we're gonna do this until the inflation hit comes back to 2%. So if in the process there's a large unemployment and the economy goes into a recession, well, then that's just a part of it. See how that works? Um, but we have to watch and see. It says the Federal Reserve on Wednesday raised its benchmark interest rate by 75 basis points for the third straight month as it struggles to bring scorching hot inflation under control. Well, then you got to ask yourself, oh, if this is the case, why didn't you fight inflation earlier when there were signs of it, when people were warning about it? Why didn't you do anything about it? You sat there and said it was going to be transitory. You said, oh, it's going to go up just a little bit. It's going to come right back down. It's going to be a soft landing. And we kept telling you, ain't no such thing as a soft landing. It's called damage control. They tell you these things, and then gradually they come out and tell you, oh, they revise it. Oh, actually, it's not going to be a soft landing after all. So it says, as it struggles to bring scorching hot inflation under control, a move that threatens to slow U.S. economic growth and exacerbate financial pain for millions of households and businesses. You got people complaining about paying rent and all that now. Um, I started watching a video that was done by the elder brother Manat Zakba. And in the beginning, you had this woman that was basically talking about when is World War III gonna pop off because she's tired of paying bills and all of these things. And she's just at the point where she's just like, just let it come, just bring it. She doesn't understand it, the fullness of how bad it's gonna get. But the point is, people are complaining about having to pay rent and do all these things now. You have no idea how bad it's about to get. The problems of tomorrow are going to make you wish that you had the problems of yesterday. Okay, that's how bad it's going to be. You complain, and it's interesting how how that cycle continues, right? Because here it is, you facing a problem today, and you wish that you could be facing a problem you were facing yesterday, and yet tomorrow comes in the same thing. The problem you didn't want to face today, when tomorrow comes, it becomes the problem you want to have. You wish you could go back to. Oh, 2019 was a horrible time. Well, with what's about to happen, you're gonna wish you could go back and just deal with 2019, 2020, because that's how it's. Well, it says the 3/4 percentage point hikes in June, July, and September, the most aggressive series of increases since 1994, underscore just how serious Fed officials are about tackling the inflation crisis after a string of alarming economic reports. Interesting. Policymakers voted unanimously to approve the latest supersized hike. It was a unanimous vote. There wasn't even a one dissenting voice. Have they gone completely mad? Wall Street certainly did not like this decision. Speaking of which, the markets are not even looking good at all. The Dow plunged hundreds of points immediately after it was announced, and then it goes into the statistics on that. It says here the S&P ended Wednesday's session down more than 10% in the past month and 21% off its 52-week high. Even before the rate decision, stocks were pricing in an aggressive tightening campaign by the Fed that could tip the economy into a recession. But the thing is, we're already in a recession, and they're just not. Once again, it's this is literally like when we were saying that no inflate. I remember Apostle Tahar, and of course, other apostles and elders and brothers. But I remember, especially Apostle Tahar kept putting up video after video after video after video on inflation. Is hyperinflation going to come to America? This is what's going on here. This is what is hyperinflation? What is inflation? What's happening in Venezuela? Is this coming to America? I remember those videos. Okay, he even did videos going into silver and gold and the importance of how these things work and all of that. And this was at a time when we would warn people and no, 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 ain't no inflation. Inflation where? Inflation who? But now you're starting to see how it's getting much, much worse. It's getting out of hand. And it's gonna keep getting worse. Um, let's see. All right, cool. So it says here for ages the Fed coddled the financial markets, but now it's almost as if they don't even care anymore. Why do you think that is? Because for a period of time that was what was necessary. All right. But now they're ready to let it crash. They're ready to crash it so they can bring that new system. Personally, I am far more concerned about what will happen to ordinary, hardworking Americans in the months ahead. You were worried about losing your job because of the Crown Vicky or the Pandee. Well, now here's another wave that's coming. Okay, and so if you were someone that put your faith and trust in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, you stood firm. You didn't sip the Kool Aid. All right, you didn't give in. You didn't break. Then guess what? You already know the routine. As the unemployments and all these things come, you already know what to do. You just like the Lord delivered you out of that whatever situation you were in for trusting in Him. He'll do it again now. Now for the rest that broke. Oh, my job. If I don't sip it, they're not gonna let me work. Well, soon you ain't gonna have a job to work at anyway. So now you done sipped it for what? You drank the Kool-Aid and then you still lost your job. Not because of a mandate. First off, they're getting ready to places are already doing away with this. So you went so hard. Now you done got some Kool-Aid in your ass that you don't even know what at what point it's like a sleeper cell. At what point can it be triggered? You don't even know. So it's like you got to keep looking over your shoulder, metaphorically, because you don't know at what point something could happen. And if something happens and there's a trend between something happening for all the Kool-Aid drinkers, your heart you will not be able to sleep because you're gonna be afraid knowing that, damn, this is more than Kool-Aid. you know? So I mean, you gotta really think about it. Why would Esau go so hard and then all of a sudden, oh, all right, we're done. No more. We're good. And all you had to do is trust in the Lord and be patient. Because now you're gonna be at the same job as somebody else who's still good. you know? And here you are, you done drank one, round two, okay, round three, four, whatever. And now you all messed up. You're not even you anymore. All for what? Because you didn't have faith in the Lord, because you couldn't have patience. Hey man. So it says here, where we at? Yep, I am far more concerned about what will happen to ordinary hardworking Americans in the months ahead. Even Jerome Powell is admitting that an increase in unemployment is likely because of what the Fed is doing. I think there's a very high likelihood we will have a period of much slower growth, and it could give rise to an increase in unemployment, he said. Will that mean a recession? No one knows whether that process will lead to a recession or how significant a recession it will be. Powell said, I don't know the odds. Oh, you don't? Well, you're certainly not ruling it out. Actually, we are in a recession right now, and Powell and his minions just made things a whole lot worse. It says even Democrats understand this. After the rate hike was announced, Senator Elizabeth Warren went on Twitter and warned that millions of Americans could soon lose their jobs. You imagine losing your job in an economy where food is just constantly going up for the prices that is. There's a scarcity of it. Your energy bills are going up. Inflation is damn near killing everything. I mean, damn. And then you lost your job. See, it's one thing, right? When you're like, damn, I can't pay rent and pay for food and pay for, this, that, and the third. So I got to pick one or the other. And it's another thing when you can't pay for any one of those. You see, people complain about, man, I can't afford all of these things, right? And now they started complaining about, man, I can only, like, I mean, I have to choose between paying rent or putting food on the table. But now there's going to be people that don't even get the luxury of having that choice. They can't not put food on the table or heat up their homes. They can't do any of that. What are they going to do? What happens when millions start getting unemployed in this time? Now, I mean, just like they did during the pandemic, yes, it's likely that they could send out some of those, but they might as well start bringing out the UBI, which is a more structured way of sending out those stimulus checks like they did during the pandemic. Okay, and I mean that's a part of one of their goals that they want to achieve anyway. So this would be a perfect segue up into that. Let's come down. As I have been documenting on my website for weeks, large numbers of Americans have already been getting laid off. Yeah, a lot of people have found themselves ending up at food pantries. A lot of them have found themselves getting cut via a Zoom call. In fact, things are already so bad that even Facebook is trimming their numbers. Yep. So why would the Fed choose to raise rates when layoffs are already beginning to spike? Higher rates are also having a devastating impact on the housing market. This week, we learned that sales of existing homes have now fallen for 7 months in a row. And like we always say, if you can understand what their agenda is, what their goal is, all of these moves that seem mad will make sense. Okay, these actions that they're taking that seem counterintuitive or counterproductive will actually make sense. It will actually you'll understand and know this is exactly what they should be doing given their goals that they want to reach and achieve. And as the scriptures say, Isaiah 33 and 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Okay, because having the ability, the eyes to see these things, not just on this sense but on the spiritual level, right, to understand prophecy, but to also understand, okay, what is it exactly they're trying to do, because they can't come and try to convince us otherwise. We see right through them, but not everybody has been blessed to be able to do that. So that's why we thank Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai for giving us the eyes and the mind to not just be sheep and be swayed by whatever the wolves come and say. Someone should start putting Jerome Powell did this stickers on for sale signs all over the nation, because this didn't have to happen. Okay, so it says here, the Fed seems to determined to kill the economy, but why? Why would they do this? One analyst that was just quoted by Fox Business is warning that times are going to get tougher from here. Jeremiah 30 and 7, Daniel 12 and 1, Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13. It says with the new rate, and these are all chapters and verses that you can read. All right. And and in certain ones, Jeremiah 30 and 7, Daniel 12 and 1, they go into the time of Jacob's trouble. Second, that's just the 15th chapter. Okay. And in Matthew 24, there's certain verses in there that deal with this time, and there's certain verses that deal with the time of 70 AD. But nevertheless, these are all various scriptures that warn of the same thing, right? That times are going to get tougher from here. Yahushua said it in Matthew 24 that these are the beginning of sorrows. So the times are going to get tougher from here. What is that? That's Jacob's trouble. Okay. Those are the times that are going to be tough. or tougher from here. With the new rate projections, the Fed is engineering a hard landing. Whoa. So you went from no inflation to transitory inflation to just a little bit not transitory, but we have a soft landing to no, there is no soft landing, prepare for a hard landing. It says a soft landing is almost out of the question, said Seema Shah, chief global strategist of Principal Global Investors. Powell's admission that there will be below trend growth for a period should be translated as central bank speak for recession. Times are going to get tougher from here, and people are not built for these tougher times. Okay, they've been was that good times make weak men make hard times make strong men make, I guess, good times. So the world has a lot of weak men because they've not there hasn't been that they've been in their best times for somebody whose eyes are open, but for somebody who's ignorant, all right, enjoying the ignorance is bliss. Yeah, they've been in good times. It says, yes, times are definitely going to get tougher from here. In fact, we are eventually headed for a meltdown of epic proportions. But instead of working to prevent a historic crisis, the Federal Reserve is actually encouraging one. Why? Because change comes through crisis. The American people deserve some answers, but there is because there is something about all of this that really stinks. But the interesting thing is, majority of Americans don't care about answers. They don't want answers. They don't even know what's going on. To them, it's just part of life. There's nothing on the because they're stuck in their small lives. They don't look on the overview. They don't look up. So to them, everything happening, it has to happen on a scale that hits them directly before they can see it. And it's gonna be too late because by the time it hits them directly, they're gonna be through. What's this? Oh wow. Okay, here's another article that I just saw. Breaking news article. And it says here, just in, ECB, European Central Bank Chief Lagarde says the outlook is darkening. Oh, is it? Wow, who would have thought? Let's see, what does it say here? Um, Matter of fact, you know what? I was gonna close it out right there, but let me just put this article here in the live chat for you as well, and you can read more into it. But everywhere you go, you can hear the sentiment, which is not. It's not. Nobody's telling you things are gonna get better. Okay, nobody is telling you things are gonna get better, and yet people are still in that ignorant, unprepared mind state. But that's okay because that's why it's gonna come and hit them like sudden destruction. All right. It says here, yep, this is from the speech by Christine Lagarde, president of the ECB, at the hearing of the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs of the European Parliament, published 26 September, which is today. All right, and I'm just going to skim through here. She says here, the economic consequences for the euro area have continued to unfold since we last met in June, and the outlook is darkening because that's what they do. They will come, they'll look at it. Oh, it looks like this right now. As time goes on, they revise the outlook. They revise the future charts or whatever they're looking at based on how bad things are getting, how progressively bad they're getting. So if they say things are bad now, a couple months from now, they're going to tell you that things are worse. Inflation remains too far too high and is likely to stay above our target for an extended period. Well, if inflation Shalom Zakwani, Yahabashim Yashab Rakatah, Wa Shalom. To all of you watching, Yahabashim Yashab Rakatah. That's it. That's it. So I would look at this paragraph and I'll leave it at that. But as you can see, right, inflation is likely to stay above our target for an extended period. So if inflation is looking to stay above the target for an extended period, what does that mean? If they're saying, well, we need to keep hiking in order bring this inflation down. But oh, by the way, the inflation is going to stay up for a while. What is going to happen to the economy in the process of all these hikes? And people are going to realize, man, and that Isaiah 33:6, that stability is going to be like how certain rare commodities, the value of these commodities are. People are going to realize that the value in faith, because people are going to start to see the effects of your faith. How? When all hell is breaking loose and you're not phased, you're calm, like this guy in the book of Eli. Okay, the reason the chick wanted to keep following him everywhere was because of the mind state that he was in. Okay, he was calm, he was going about doing what he had to do, and through faith the Lord will bless us with that, to where we're not stressed. All here it is, all these bad things are going on around us, but you're so calm, you can think clearly, you can make moves, you know what's going on and you know what to do. You're guided, right? As the scriptures say in Isaiah, I believe it's 26, right? That will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed upon thee. So they're gonna desire the faith that you have, right? Damn, man, I wish I could just, just be as calm as you, man. I don't know how you do it. It's faith. And that's just one of the aspects that faith is gonna bring. Okay. So in that time, you're gonna see the effects of Isaiah 33:6 and the various other scriptures, because it's one thing to read it and it's another thing to experience it. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here. I just wanted to bring out, a few articles on that. So as you can see, is global doom. Banks preparing for blackouts, and if banks are preparing, then that means countries are preparing, and you might just be affected. And global currency crash, because we are in the transition. All right. So Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. If you look through the live chat, you'll see the links to the different articles. And in closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kudash. Until next time, Shalom.